to know about Islam and to know about Pakistan, and a warped version of both. Now this, in my view, having taught at public sector universities for so long, is the major reason for the megalomania, paranoia, and narcissism that you find in almost every field in Pakistan, and especially in this city, because the change here was far more powerful than anywhere else in Pakistan. So the whole atmosphere became anti-culture. Let's go to entertainment, performances. Performances could only be held in select locations, 5 of them, all in South Karachi, where the elite live. The rest were closed down. 11 halls that operated in the rest of the city no longer exist. They have become plazas, or they have become marriage halls. So they disappeared. 4 very important schools of music and dance of international standard, the PIA Arts Academy, Ganesham School, Chaudhry Bulbul School, Dibu Bhattacharya's Tuition Center, the Southern Music Rooms, they all disappeared. And on the media, classical music and dance was banned, and many restrictions were put on folk music. I can never forget that. I met Suleiman Shah, the famous Sindhi singer who used to wear ghungroos on his hands and used to move them like this and sing. I met him in Islamabad airport. And I went to him and I said, you know, Shah Saab, it's terrible what has happened to you. You now dance without those ghungroos. And he embraced me and cried. And he wouldn't stop crying. He said, "Kya karu pet ke khatir ye zillat bardasht karni padti hai." Then attempts were made to ban urs of peers. That backfired. It was not successful. But patronage to the shrines of the saints was withdrawn for the first time since Tughlaq's time. Since then, they had always been patronized. Then a long list of intellectuals was drawn up who were considered un-Islamic, or whatever you want to call it. And they were banned from appearing on television or radio. Their poetry and their works were also banned. Now, I'm saying all this because one has forgotten this. And this is what present-day Karachi is. It is the result of all this. And I think this is important. Now here, there is another factor that I would like to bring to your notice, and that is the role of the elite of this city. Pakistan's elite and upper middle classes are westernized. But because of their enmity to Bhutto's socialist populism, they supported the Zia government. However, they could not approve of the changes that were taking place in the institutions where their children studied. Consequently, they stopped sending their children to public sector universities and colleges, and as a result of these institutions ceased to be multi-class. They also stopped participating in public life, visiting museums, zoos, and multi-class public spaces. They created their own world separate from the rest of Karachi and depoliticized themselves. The removal of the elite from public sphere resulted in a decline in standards of education and in the maintenance and growth of public sector real estate and recreational facilities. In the process, Karachi was deprived of the possibility of acquiring an aware and interested elite, which is an enormous asset for an expanding and developing metropolis. So this was unfortunate, but this happened. And over years, the rich ghettos have been created. Hopefully, they will be demolished one day. Now, if I move on from here, I would like to point out a few other things which are important. Read some other parts of this. The Zia era coincided with the period of urban consolidation for many cities, similar in many ways to Karachi, in South and Southeast Asia. These cities during the period of the Zia era developed effective state organizations that have been able to cater to the needs of a young population living increasingly in a cosmopolitan world. They have been able to support the evolution of new social values and freedoms for their societies that were in a process of freeing themselves from feudal influences and retrogressive traditions. Karachi too in 1977 was in a similar position. However, due to the Zia government's religious populism, this did not happen in Karachi. New institutions were not created, but the old ones were destroyed. Emerging social values were suppressed, and monolithic and retrogressive norms were imposed on the city, leading to its fragmentation and to suspicion and conflict between its different religious and ethnic groups. The governments following Zia and society at large remained hostage to state culture and its support institutions that he had created. However, and this is the positive aspect of all this, however, the pressures of city life, new global technologies, international migration, cable television, and above all, the related social upward mobility and aspirations of the lower middle classes have transformed Karachi society and created a conflict between its aspirations and the values promoted by the Zia era. It is important to pause here and take a look at the changes that have taken place or are in the process of taking place. So I'll point out some changes that have taken place. I started working in low-income settlements in 1971. And the change that I have seen is phenomenal. When we started working there in 1971, we were invariably met by middle-aged men who were the leaders of these settlements. They spoke in a flowery language, Sain, Huzur, Janab, Aapse milke sharf hasil hua, Niyazmand, it's old vocabulary. Today you go there, you are met by young people. Young men, sometimes young women. Women are rare, but it started happening. And they don't use any of this vocabulary. They call me uncle, and that too in English. So this is a very big change. It's very important. This vocabulary is extremely important, Also, when we started working there, these were purely working class settlements. Today they are not purely working class settlements. They have white collar workers, they have entrepreneurs, they have bank managers, they have school and university teachers, college teachers, no, perhaps not university teachers. Women never used to work in those days. Today, bus loads of women, Suzuki loads of women go to work. They are picked up every morning. So, in spite of this enormous retrogression that was imposed on them, they have set up schools, there are marriage halls, there are beauty parlors, and you don't have McDonald's, but you have Donald Burger, which is a bun kebab. So there is this enormous transformation, and it's a new generation looking for improvements in their lives. The other important thing, which I mentioned very often, and I think I'll talk about it again, the most important statistics in a census is the age group of